Hey guys, how's it going? It's Blaze, back with some more One Piece TCG content, looking at the market once again. We're going to do this one a little bit of a quicker market update this time, but I want to check out some singles that have been making interesting moves recently. Another quick reminder, if you like, subscribe, and comment on this video or any of my previous videos that I made the past month, I'm doing a giveaway for this Gear 5 alternate art OP05 Luffy card. The winner is going to be announced in January, probably, I'm thinking like around the time of my birthday, so like January 23rd, sometime before the end of January, towards the end of January. I'm hoping to hit like 1K around that time. You can also follow me on Instagram. I just made a new Instagram account for TCG stuff for this account, so go follow me on there. But let's get into checking out the market today. Okay, so I'm not going to bother going over the stuff up at the very top here, but off the bat, one thing that pops out to me immediately is that what I've been saying about this Gear 2 Luffy right here, it's starting to come true. We're all the way up to 4,000 as lowest listed near mint foil. That is ungraded at 4K now. It was sitting around 2.5, 2.7. Looks like that last 2.7, sold just yesterday, and the 2.5 sold before that. So we're up to a new sitting price of 4K. Again, people are not listing these, people are holding these. I have this card, I absolutely would not have listed it for anything lower than this. I still think it can go significantly higher than this. And this is ungraded, so I would be grading my copy as well before I would ever think about actually letting go of it. This is, again, this is like one of the grail cards for the whole game. I think people are starting to really understand that now. People are starting to understand, okay, it's 2.5, 2.7. This is getting in early on this card. EBO2 is still going to continue to go up. People are also having realizations about OP12. What I was saying in my last video about sealed, this teach, it's going up. These gold encrusted cards here, these are very rare. These have very low pull rates, and you're going to consistently see them rise, as well as the, obviously, everybody knows about the gold Luffy, but the Shanks is going to perform similarly. Here you see, 3.5, maybe not quite, but I guess people were selling them around like 12, 1500. These sales are too low, guys. These gold cards, these are very hard to pull. I understand with OP13, the set is so deep. The set has so much like higher, more premium priced and like valuable cards with the red mangas and the God Pack and all that stuff that I think the Shanks was a little undervalued there. All right, that's really all of the super high-end stuff that I wanted to look at though. Okay, so what I want to do next is I actually want to go and look at some cards that are priced a little lower and talk about stuff that I think could come up. Some more like sleeper type. All right, first one I'll start with is the Gear 5 OP05 Luffy. That again, I am doing the giveaway on. So this was a sub $100 card when I first started talking about it. The reason that I want to take a look at it is that this is very consistently rising in sales, right? We're consistently seeing sales at 120 now. Now this was like a $90 card. This was like a $100 card. Now it's up to 120. So we're seeing with the alt art Luffy, very steady rising growth. So if we continue to see that, this might be one to look into investing sooner rather than later if it does continue to climb. Another one that I know I've talked about before, but I still feel pretty good about is this OP10 Sanji. This is starting to slope off a little bit now. We're seeing, sales pretty consistently around 90 bucks. I think this is a pretty good price for this card. I think this is one of these cards where as we get further away from OP10, right, the rarity on that is just inherently going to be going up. So we're going to see this inherently rise to some degree, unless the market entirely crashes, which I don't really see much indication of. I think we'll see a dip on this somewhat relatively soon. I think this dip will go down a little further. but if you don't want to risk it, I think now's a pretty good time to buy. It's a really, really nice card in person. If you haven't seen it, it's quite nice. And I think it's one of these ones that, you know, it's a very iconic Straw Hat. He's part of the top 3, you know, power trio of the Wings of the Captain, right? So, good card to have here. Now this Bandai Fest Luffy, this is an interesting one. I would look out for what the price on these ends up looking like around the time that Vegas Nationals happens. So there's going to be another wave of these at the Vegas Nationals. And if you keep a lookout for when that wave goes out, you're going to see the price is going to fall on these. And then from there, it's going to kind of go back up. It's going to be very similar to the last wave of the foil convention Luffy, I guess as everyone's calling it, that went out in last January, about a year ago now. I would keep a lookout for that. I would not buy this right now, but I would keep my eyes out for when that wave goes out. I think there's going to be a good time to snap that one up there. Another one I keep a lookout for is the Onami promo pack card here. Got some nice original manga art of Nami when she first gets in the Wano outfit, and this is one that I don't think you're going to see more waves going out on this, but this is like a yellow staple, and I think it could continue to have some relevance potentially in the game. Not saying it's like a super playable card, but it is a Nami in a very rare treatment here. Event pack volume 5 only. This is not gonna, you know, get more prints anytime soon. I think that might be a pretty good one. I also think that this Divine Departure here is a pretty solid investment. Once we get the Roger promo, that Roger deck becomes a lot more playable, and I don't know if you're going to see it like sweeping the meta or anything like that, but you're definitely going to see this card popping up a lot more often. And also just if purple in general kind of has more relevancy to it in the future, which I'm sure it will. I mean, purple's been a very, very powerful color at several points in the game, and this is just such a event with just strong utility for purple. And also something that maybe y'all don't know if you're in the collector world but you're not in the play world as much, is that these zero cost events, these are non-block rotating. These are evergreen cards that will always be playable in the game. So in the long term, this is a card that will not ever rotate out of the format. Now we're talking, this is block 4, so that's, when would block 4 even rotate? It would be like 2030 that you would even have to worry about that. But it's something that you don't have to worry about at all, even though it's block 4, which is, I think, a pretty nice thing. We're starting to see it dip back down here. It had a big dip, pop back up, dipping back down. I think if this goes down to like seeing near mint foils consistently like under 70 or like around 60, I think this is a pretty solid buy. You could buy it even right now. I think it's a little higher risk. I would also say, yeah, you're starting to see this spike. This Booth Burst is one that Sanji, we know, is starting to get some more support coming out in the future. And if he becomes more viable in the meta, once again, this is going to be a card that increases based off of playability of people wanting to alt decks, right? So I think, you know, last week really would have been the time to get these. Now that we know that Sanji's getting that support, it is starting to go up. You are starting to see people are getting hip to the fact that this is a market that is very player influenced. And you're going to start seeing that manifest a lot more in these, you know, sub $100 cards that people will actually buy playsets of to put in their decks. And I think Booth Burst is one where we are seeing that happen. Once again, another one is going to be the Divine Departure. Now, I don't know if this is the most playable thing ever. I think it's one that, you know, when red is relevant, does see play. Unfortunately, this is a 1 cost. It does not follow that same rule, even though this is kind of like the card that started this multi-effect main/counter style of design that we're seeing a lot of in event cards right now. But I do still think this is a really good card. If you can find one, yeah, like $63, $65, 45 is great. But yeah, if you can find this under $60, I think this is worth it. Now this Linlin does seem to be coming down. You know, they were going for around 100. It looks like it has dipped somewhat. Now might be a good time to get this. This is, I think, one of the best looking SPs in this price range, you know, no question at all. Definitely think that might be one that's getting slept on. Another thing is also this Nami, the OP11 Nami leader. This is a card that now that it's getting its promo support and it's getting support from EBO3 and OP14, this is going to go up to being a very, very strong meta leader quite soon. And I think you saw when that support got announced, it shot up. It's starting to creep back down. I'm not saying to go out and buy this right now, but this is definitely one that you should keep an eye on and see if it continues to dip, maybe jump on that, especially as people are buying up OP11 because they're chasing the crusted Luffy, right? So this is a card that might become harder to get your hands on over time. There are definitely going to be people looking for this as they main it in OP14/EBO3 meta. Ben Beckman, he started off strong, he dipped down, jumped up a little bit, and he's kind of evening out now. I think this is probably a decent SP to invest in. It's not like the greatest ever, but it's a really nice card. I think for the price it's going for, you know, maybe not a bad one. Now, I do think investing in OP13 singles is a bit of a risk because people are ripping so much OP13 looking for those big manga hits that the population on these is going to just kind of continue to go up and up. But that being said, I think this is probably one of the better looking OP13 SPs. I think this one and the Sabo are probably the nicest looking. I'm not a fan of the Luffy, I'm not a fan of the Ace. Personal preference there, but you know, this might, it is also Ben Beckman though, so he's not exactly like a super well-known character, not a Straw Hat or anything, more of a side character, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. Again, I've talked about this card several times. I do think this illustration box exclusive Rob Lucci is a really nice art, a really good investment. Very, very rare. This was only available out of one illustration box that could only be gotten from one event. I've talked about not feeling like the box is worth it for the value, but I do think the singles in it are worth getting because nobody's opening that box because the price on it is so high in relation to the value of what's inside of it, right? And it is almost entirely a pure sealed collector piece. So the population on these is going to stay very, very low. And I think over time, despite the fact that Rob Lucci's basically been just completely taken out of the meta by the amount of anti-removal that exists now, it's still a card that I think is going to do quite well over time. The Zorojuro looks like it's kind of leveled off at around $60. Near minute 62, near minute 62. I like this card. I can't really say the data says that it's a great investment at this price. If this goes beneath 50 or 40, I can't believe it got all the way down to around 22. If this goes around 50 or 40, I'd say pick these up. We already know GP Luffy's getting support, and this is a 4-of staple in that deck. We've talked about this anniversary Luffy a little bit. I think this is, you know, it's an interesting unique printing that's only available through the anniversary set, but it's a very affordable version of a card that's only available through the anniversary set, right? So as opposed to, you know, even the standard alt art, much less like the manga or any of the SP versions of this. This is one where you can get a very unique printing of a very well-performing card over time that is quite exclusive, despite the fact that it's not going for a ton of money right now. I think this is one where you could see it increase significantly in the future. Let's take a look at good old convention Luffy. Maybe played foil, near mint foil. So yeah, these are still continuing to hang out at around 300, 400. Now, the reason I'm covering this is I've seen and heard about people buying up these, you know, near mint, these $50 ones. Dude, y'all got to stop doing that. You have to buy the foil ones. Nobody wants the regular non-foil version of them. You're going to have a hard time moving these. I mean, you see a lot of these listings. These are listings that have large quantities available. This card's not super rare. This card was given out at a lot of events, and not the convention events, just like normal store events. So this is more of a warning to look out for these. If you see one of those listings that looks super cheap and you think, oh, this is too good to be true, it's because you are looking at the wrong one. Let's take a look at this P7 Trafalgar Law. I really like this card. It is starting to drop. It was doing quite well. Treasure Rares were really inflated for a little while there, and this is one that's a little bit reflective of that. But I think now that it's dipping back down a little bit, this seems like a pretty good place to buy it. I think $60 is a solid price for this card. You could, you know, that could end up being wrong, but I do feel pretty good about it. These event pack Zorojuros, if UP Luffy or blue purple Luffy comes back in OP14, there's going to be a lot of people trying to alt out their Zorojuros 3 costs. I think this is probably pretty solid. I don't know if I'd buy it this high, but I would keep an eye on this one and see where near mints are hanging out. Around 60. I don't think 60 is awful. This might not be a bad time to pick up a playset of these. Alright, looking at the OP13 Treasure Rare Luffy, this thing's starting to drop off a little bit. Treasure Rares are all starting to correct now, is something that we're seeing across pretty much all of them. So I think if you want to buy some Treasure Rares, just in general, now seems like the time. We're seeing this go back down to about $50. That seems like closer to where it should be. Another one definitely to keep a lookout for is the OP06 Hiyori alternate art. Now that Boa is going to be very played in the meta, yellow is coming back again. This is a very, very strong card in yellow, allowing for you to seed your life with cards out of hand. So when yellow is strong, this card's very strong. Also 2K, and frankly just a really, really nice art as well. Buying it at 40 seems a little steep. It's gone up quite a bit, but I think once OP14 gets here, you are going to see a large number of people who are going to come and try to buy these. So I think it's a pretty safe play there. I've talked before about the PRB02 reprints of Usohachi as well. I think at $27, this is pretty strong. So I've been informed that Pandy's Collectibles are doing a lot of ghost sales, so we may need to ignore these. 35, I still don't think is terrible for this. I think you could see it jump really significantly in the event that GP Luffy comes back into the meta. That is somewhat speculative. We don't know if that is going to really be a major component of the meta in the future, but it doesn't feel like a super risky bet to me. Another one is the PRB01 10 cost Kaido. I think this is a really nice card. The effect is really strong. When blue is very strong, this card has a significant chance of being run. for 37 bucks, I think this is a pretty reasonable pickup. And the last one I think I'm going to talk about for today is the Kaya 2nd Anniversary Edition. This card is going for around 30 bucks right now. This card in mono blue mill style Nami deck is so incredibly strong. And currently that's a deck that got banned and is like reprinted with an errated version that only allows for East blue type characters to be contained within the deck, because the support for red blue ace in OP13 was so strong that it basically would have created a Nami mirror meta that would have been just an absolute nightmare for anyone who wants to play the game at all, like a normal person does, because Nami doesn't really play the game like a normal deck. That being said, we're starting to get to the point where there's enough East Blue support that Nami deck is going to come back, and people who are very devoted to that deck, because that deck has a whole like group of people who play it, and it has a really unique and a really interesting play style. I'm actually not a Nami hater. I'm glad that there's a version of it that people are going to be able to play again, and this card is going to be a staple of that. Now, a lot of the hardcore Nami fans already have this card, but that being said, I think that there's a chance that once it starts getting support, there's going to be people who kind of want to hop on the bandwagon a little bit, and the value of this card has the potential to increase quite a lot off that. Now, that's a really big bet. That's a really far in the future bet. It's not one that I'm going to immediately go recommend, but if you're looking for good blue limited cards that definitely already are staples in a lot of blue decks and could have additional relevance in the future, I think Kaya is a really strong bet. So, with all that said, thanks for tuning in. Once again, you can be entered into the giveaway for Gear 5 Luffy. As I've talked about, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and also just talk to me about what you think about, what I'm saying with these card values, stuff that you want me to cover, type of videos you want me to make in the future, opinions, where you think I'm right, where you think I'm wrong. Let's just have a discussion in the comments. People have been chiming in the comments, and we've been getting into some really interesting discussions. So I've been really enjoying that, and I really appreciate all of you who are doing that and are leaving super constructive comments. If you leave a comment and it's just like, I like the Gear 5, I want the card, try to like comment something with actual value and substance of some sort and start a conversation, and I'll much appreciate it, and your chances of being considered in the giveaway will definitely be increased in some sort of way. I'll make sure of that. So with all that said, I really appreciate y'all for coming through. I really appreciate all of you who have been subscribing to the channel, all of you who have been leaving, interesting, constructive comments talking about what I'm covering. I just posted a poll about what type of content I should do for my next video. So go vote in that, and I'll see you guys next time.